Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use, for the purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is use permitted by copyright statute and might otherwise be infringing. The copyright laws of the United States recognizes a fair use of the copyright content. Section 107 of the U.S. Copyright Act states, notwithstanding the provisions of Section 106 and 106A, the fair use of a copyrighted work, including use by reproduction in copies of phone records or by any other means specified by the section, for the purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, or research, is not an infringement of copyright.
You're muted.
Oh.
We're all muted.
Now we aren't.
What is up? We are back for season 2, everyone. Good to see everyone. And real quick, wanted to put something up here because I noticed something in chat. Got a happy birthday to John.
Oh, happy birthday.
And thank you everybody for joining us tonight. See who we got. We got Sister Squad, D Dot, My Two, TTT, Chelsea, Carrie, that guy, Frank Seaworth, Veruca, John, Willow North. All right. Hopefully I didn't miss anyone. I think I got everyone there. But what?
I don't know who Frank Seaworth is, but I know a Dr. Frank Seaworth.
Oh, he has to he earned that title, huh? He earned the fake doctorate that he needs to have that noticed. I get that.
He's earned it.
Oh, and Tara's here. Welcome.
Hello.
So, all right. We have quite a show tonight. Lots to go over. First, should we
kind of explain?
I was thinking playing that TikTok video first because I think that
the compilation I made?
Yeah.
Oh, that's from all over the place. TikTok, YouTube.
Oh, okay.
First, I just think we should start by, because this is season 2, this is Welcome Back. But if you've been following the Rise and Fall series, which I know a lot of you here in chat have, we've been going in chronological order, right? So technically, we're still back in San Diego. We're right about to get to the Red Van days. That'll likely be our next episode. But this episode is a special episode focused just on the prize money, which started around the time that, right after the San Diego.
It started in San Diego.
Right.
So it was around the time frame where we're at. So instead of going back and forth with it, let's just get the prize money out of the way.
Yeah. Because in this episode, you're going to see the evolution of the prize money, everything associated with that. And does it exist? I don't know. If we're going to play that video first, I think we need to start by talking about clickbait before we play it.
Yeah.
You all know clickbait, the term clickbait. And I'm sure you guys have seen plenty of McKamey Manor clickbait. It comes around every spooky season. Huh?
I said this time every year. It should
be.
We should be seeing it any day now.
Yes. But here's the thing. Clickbait usually refers to, you're going to watch something because it's got an interesting title or it's got something that sounds crazy in it. And so you click it and you watch it. And then it's not the correct information. Thank you, D-Dot.
Yeah, thank you, D-Dot.
Very sweet of you.
Appreciate it.
And I do have to say that in this video, I don't think we can look at any of these creators that have mentioned this, because the information in the legend and the rumors, all of that, it's not necessarily their fault that they didn't know that the 20,000 isn't obtainable. You know what I mean? It's 100% what Russ says and pushes, but you see it still every single year.
Well,
so...
I want to argue that a little, because you don't have to do much research to see that this is a fraud of a place. You just have to do so, right? And I feel like there's a lot of creators out there that just kind of hear the stories and read the other clickbait and then repeat it.
Right, but that's the problem, is that there's so much clickbait out there that when you go to do research, it took me, this little clip that we're going to show, it took me like 30 minutes to put together, because it was so easy just to search McKamey Manor, $20,000, and see the plethora of not just content creators, but even news organizations sharing that information, So take that for what you will. Yes, you research. I do agree with you, Chris, there, but I also see that it's kind of a double-edged sword. Because if you've never heard about McKamey Manor and you go out and you start doing some research, the first things you're going to find is the incorrect information.
Yeah, you will. Let's play the video real quick.
And grab you and take you to another room where they push your head into freezing cold water. You plead for them to stop, to show you some mercy. But you've signed up for this, and there's no get out clause. What we just explained to you isn't an exaggeration. In fact, this haunted house experience can get much worse than that. It is so bad that if you can actually get through enough hours of it, you'll be handed $20,000.
The scariest haunted house in the United States is offering $20,000 to anyone who can finish. Anyone get through the haunted house, they give you 20 grand.
They offer $20K to anybody who can make it past the end.
There, it's called McKamey Manor. Oh boy, I feel like I shouldn't talk about this. So there's this challenge that requires you to stay in this house for 8 hours, and once completed, you'll be given $20,000.
This haunted house will pay you $20,000 if you complete it. The only problem is no one's ever done it.
I've been hearing a lot about this McKamey Manor place where you can win like $20,000.
It's that time of year again where I keep seeing videos about McKamey Manor on my For You page. The haunted house that pays you $20,000 if you make it through, except no one ever has.
Torture chamber that is so intense that despite a $20,000 reward for anyone who can last 8 hours, no one has done it.
The haunted house in Tennessee that will pay $20,000 to anyone who beats it. And it's called McKamey Manor. And I was like, sign me up. Fucking $20,000. I can definitely do it.
And that's what we hear. That's a perfect clip to end on, because if you're in a situation where you need some serious cash, what are you willing to do and put out,
right,
to get that?
Absolutely. I think that is, and then as far as even that news clip from, I think it was Fox Business, playing that clip talking about the $20,000 again. These clips are all, throughout the past 4 or 5 years, I want to say, is when I saw them. Some more recent. That one girl saying, it's that time of year again where everything I see is McKamey Manor, this place where you can win $20,000. No one's ever won. No one's ever won. And again, even that news organization, if they did the research, if they went directly to Russ and asked him these questions, he would say, yeah, if you can make it through, but you're not going to make it through. It's messed up. It's messed up because a lot of people have been scammed because they are going to try to win this money and to be like, I'm the first.
Yeah, everybody wants to be the first, because
right,
when you think about it, it's like, wait. All I have to do is what? I just have to last.
Yeah.
I can get my ass kicked for 10 hours and get $20,000. That's a pay. They can't kill me.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, it's, I don't know. It's hard. I can't get mad at the people that spread this information because it's what they're being told. It's what they hear. So we just have to try to be the louder voice and explain why that should not be something discussed on any of these videos, because all it does is make someone believe the $20,000 exists and want to try to beat it.
Yeah.
You know?
So let's talk about the origins of the 20 grand and where it started at. Now, Brandon, I think it was you that had brought up to me the different denominations throughout San Diego, wasn't it?
No, I thought he didn't start mentioning it until 2017.
Oh, okay.
And back then, even in August 8th of 2017, the bounty was only $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So what was it in San Diego?
1,000.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I think it was maybe a handful of tours. It was just more like, come on down. Yeah, I'll give you $1,000 for it. Right.
And so it was also 10,000 at some point. I don't have the exact year, but that was a denomination that was shared as well.
I believe that there might have been one time in San Diego. I think I had heard the 10,000 number come up too. And again, he knows that he's not paying it out. So he just throws these random amounts out there, right? So it started with that. And then all of a sudden, while San Diego's going on, there was also a show on Fox that had started. And if we know anything about Russ, these lies that revolve around the manor usually have some Hollywood background to it. For instance, Vegas, right? Vegas watching and all that. Do you know the year that started, a movie that came out? It was called Hostel 3.
Mm.
And that was about people in Vegas betting on people in these torture rooms.
What year was that? 2014, 15?
I want to say it was like 15.
Yeah.
2015.
Tracks.
And then, so on Fox, a show comes out called The Chamber. A game show in which you have to endure different tortures at the chance of winning $20,000. And
so creative, right?
Yeah. And so this 2011 was Hostel 3. So yeah. It was out.
That's interesting because that's the year that things really started ramping up too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's when the Vegas rumor, I think was more started when he started doing like the small individualized tours around 2013 or 14.
So let's see what some people are saying. Yeah, Willow North. 20K is a life-changing amount of money, and the more time I spend thinking on what I would do for 20K, the angrier it makes me that much money was falsely dangled in front of people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
now here's the thing is, if you ask people today who know more about the truth about McKamey Manor, even if you had asked us maybe a few months ago, I think my general response and most people's general response would be, yeah, that prize money doesn't exist because there's no way to get it. Russ has stopped offering it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think that most people are like, yeah, Russ stopped offering it. He said a few times back in 2019.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to get into kind of the rules to and what changed in Tennessee.
Okay. Yeah. So explaining the 20K, going through all of that, and then we'll talk about why he stopped offering it.
Yeah. So first, I think we should play a video and let Russ kind of explain it, and then I can go into more detail about these events and ways.
Before we play that video,
Mhm.
I think it's important that we tell everyone where that's from.
Okay, yeah, this is from the Then There Were None video on McKamey Manor Presents. You can watch this. Now, this video is this is what he makes everybody watch before they go into a tour. He feels
That's the part I wanted to say, yeah.
That this is the video that protects him almost from any liability of lying about the money and knowing what you sign up for. It's like an hour. I was actually shocked because later on we'll hear he mentioned somewhere to someone that it's only an hour and 45 minutes long video. And I'm like, I thought that was like 3 hours long. It felt like that. It really is only an hour and like 48 minutes.
But it's repetitive. It's just
so
people
repetitive.
Quitting over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's everybody in Tennessee up till almost 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So let's play this real quick, and then I'll dive into some deeper explanation on stuff.
It's all good. Whatever floats your boat. I'm like, that's fine. The Manor is still going to win. Speaking of winning, you probably heard the rumor that I offer money. I do, but do not come here for that reason. I'm telling you right now, listen to me carefully, you're not going to win a single dime. You're not going to win nothing. The Manor, again, will chew you up and spit you out, I promise you. You're not going to last 10 hours once the clock begins. The daytime stuff that we do, all the silliness, the goofiness, all the laughs and pizza and drinking sodas, that does not count on your clock. The clock starts once you actually get to your first stunt and you get within a certain portion of that stunt. Like, get the key. You got to get keys. The Manor is all about keys. Think of the Manor as a big giant escape room, but on a huge, epic American Ninja Warrior Fear Factor. Every haunted house you can think of, Disneyland, whatever, it's all wrapped into one. You get down to zero, it's Hallelujah Breaker time, and you better either make it or break it, all right? And that's the way it works. So the trick here, obviously, is just don't lose the fail cards, okay? Gain. You want to wager. You want to gain. It's a game show, like I said. And also, we'll take away $500 every time you fail. Now, if you insist on playing for the money, then I will start you off with $20,000. But most people go, look, Russ, I'm not here for the money. I know I'm not going to win the money. I know there's no way. And you're right. I'm telling you right now, on paper, you are not going to win again. You're not going to win any money. But if you want to be that person, try a sport, okay, whatever. I'll start you off with 20 grand. Then every time you fail, you lose a card and you lose $500, etc. But trust me, you are not going to last 10 hours once the clock starts. You have no idea of the kind of crazy, epic stunts within a horror survival world that you're going to be doing.
Okay. So, now, mind you, that was around probably right after your time, Brandon. This video wasn't out for you yet, correct?
Yeah, no, I don't remember ever seeing that. But it looked like it was filmed on his property.
Yes, yeah, It was filmed on his property. He's made several versions of it throughout the years. Like every so many months, at least when I was involved, and I've seen more added since, he would take it down real quick and add like the next few people once he had a certain amount lined up of the I quits.
Yeah, the first part is literally, it's like 45 minutes of him walking around the yard talking.
Mm-hmm. And he's talking about the screening. He's just rambling, manic.
Yeah.
I how crazy that probably looked for the neighbors.
I
know. But so Brandon, you go through. Were you offered $1,000 at all? Was that even on the table for you?
Yeah, I mean it was, but I mean I didn't go for the money, right? Like that was never in the equation for me personally. So, but yes, it 100% was a part of the show. It was offered prior to and during and all this and the other.
So in that video that we just watched, we heard the word fail cards. Now these are a very important part of, at least back then. Now I've heard since it evolved. I know when Kelly and Megan were moderators, fail cards were no longer a thing. They didn't exist. Right.
Yeah, and I don't remember fail cards being a thing whenever I went either.
I want to say when I got involved, they were already a thing. So it was probably a few months after you that they started.
I think likely more than a few months. Brandon was 2017. I want to guess that they probably started like the next year, the following year.
Well, I
2018.
was in 2018.
Oh, you were? Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. So it wasn't too much longer after. So what the fail cards was they had a thing. It was always called something different. Sometimes it was McKamey Manor All Star. Sometimes it was Hell Week. It was the week leading up to your show. You would be given all these humiliating tasks. If you were in the closed Facebook group, it was something that was one of the things that kind of drove the people to the closed Facebook group, because that was the only place you could see that stuff. It wasn't on his personal page. And it would be like going to Walmart and singing, or trying to dance with random strangers. It was always something involved you wearing your onesie and going someplace. And if you couldn't go somewhere, you ate something gross. Like we saw in Monster Inside, we saw Melissa eat night crawlers.
Mm-hmm.
I had to do I had to do car washes and dance with people. Those were my things, right? And then I had to do a mile-long walk singing Eye of the Tiger nonstop. And throughout my night prior, when I was sleeping, I was supposed to wake up every 15 minutes and do some sort of exercise or tell a story. I didn't do it, though.
I have a theory.
Mm-hmm.
And I could be totally wrong, but I'm thinking about it now. I am wondering, because there was, he moved to Tennessee. He didn't have these fail card things and all that silly nonsense you have to do beforehand until Tennessee, correct?
Correct.
And you didn't have to do any of that silly nonsense leading up to your tour, Brandon, correct?
No, but I specifically remember that Marissa did before her show. And I think
Marissa
Jeremy
did that too, though. I'm sorry, and you can go back, but Marissa did that in San Diego too.
Yeah, so but that might have been just something special for her, but I think Jeremy also had to do it. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure of that, but I think Jeremy had to do it too.
My theory is he moved to Tennessee, and that'll be an upcoming episode here is when he actually makes the move. And at the time thought that he was going to have actors and, things are going to be similar to San Diego, of course. And he ended up pretty quickly in a situation where it was just solo.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is really when he's like, what can I do to ramp everything up? That's when the prize elevated up to the 20K. That's when all these other things were put into it, because he was a solo show at that point, essentially.
And come to think about it, the Hell Week stuff did exist in San Diego. I see somebody saying the bunny, but I remember Lori telling me that she did a bunch of stuff leading up to hers as well. But there was no fail cards involved. That was like your way of getting into the show, of being, kind of accepted. So you could, doing these pre-show things, you could win or lose up to 40 fail cards. 40 times 500 is $20,000, right? Because every fail card was worth $500. So what would happen is you would show up. If, let's say, you did a perfect pre-show, you did every task you were supposed to do successfully, you start with the 40 fail cards. You then show up at boot camp. Now, even the tasks at boot camp are impossible, because he will change that goalpost on you. It will be walk my property 4 times while carrying a bag of dog food, and then you find out that you were supposed to quack the entire time, right?
He
there's
just
always
makes it up as he goes.
Yeah. And so he'd be like, well, you just lost a fail card. Or if you swear, you just lost a fail card. So your 20,000 is slowly disappearing. Now, he would do the entertainer thing, right? And at certain points, if you were doing really good, he would be like, I'll give you a chance to win another 20 fail cards. But if you don't successfully do this, you could lose all your fail cards. And I saw one time, one guy just destroy boot camp. he was not losing on anything.
Mhm.
And so that's a scenario that Russ had to plan for. So let's say that scenario plays out. Make it all the way through boot camp, and Russ is like, all right, we're going to the actual show. You know, he's sweating more because he was like, now I have to do something. The night portion of the show starts. You move to the backyard, and what the fail cards are supposed to be there is if you get to a particular stunt or a task that you have to do there, you can use one of those fail cards to get out of it. And, or if, you know, let's say you just can't complete it, you can't stay underwater for 5 minutes because you're a human, you just lost that fail card and you can keep going.
Well, and something else he said, sorry to interject, in that little clip we just showed was, you know, you can win is it possible to win the 20,000? I mean, it's being offered, but you have to complete everything. You have to get the keys.
Yes.
You have to know the codes.
So that's where I'm getting to, actually, is the keys and the codes. Now, it has changed since, and I've heard a few people tell me, they're like, don't take my record from me. I beat Rat Race. Well, you beat your version of it, I guess. I don't know what that version was, but the version that I know of Rat Race, and I've talked about it many times here, I'm going to talk about a couple of different scenarios, though, was in Rat Race, the goal was you're in a 200-meter, or what? How many football fields is that? It was a couple of football fields long, it was supposed to be, right? And you are crawling through this cage blindfolded. Now, because it's been on Facebook so much, you know there's water involved. Back when I was around, that wasn't told to you. You were just crawling through, and then you were surprised with the water, right?
And you have to crawl through on your back with a mask, like a thing over your face too.
And now you get to certain points that are called gates, which is just the trap doors of the rat cages. And when you push through is when he turns the water on your face until your body is completely through and that gate's closed. And he tells people that it's on a machine, but it's just him standing on top with a hose. But the goal is this is where you can get the key. Now, mind you, you can do all these small little stunts in that, but until you get that key, like he mentioned, that clock doesn't start. And to win the 20K, you have to start the clock and then last from there at least 8 to 10 hours, depending on what version you're doing. So to get this key, you got to get to the middle of the rat race. And when you're there, there is... it's supposed to be like a drop down, and there's a plexiglass shelf you'll feel with a key hanging from it. And you grab this key, and thousands of rats are going to pour down and run all over you. At that point, you have the key. The clock has started. You can take the glasses off because the rest of the maze, not only do you have to deal with rats, but the cage is electrified.
Well, and for Reckless Ben's version, that was one of the most recent and thank God last tours we've seen, you drop down and now you're underground.
Oh, is that what they told him?
Yeah. And you hear him saying, and it's recorded because this was him explaining how to win Rat Race when Ben was in like that big tub full of water with a cage on top.
So, yeah. So the problem is the rat race is just a small, probably 20 foot by 20 foot set of cages. It's not several football fields long. It's not a maze. You're just going in one circle. And on top of that, oh yeah, here we go, Bow. 200 yards, I'm sorry. It's the same as the underground. I think it's on top of the underground water haunted house.
According to Ben's tour, you go through the rat race, you get the thing, you fall, the rats fall, and I think he said mice at that point. I don't know why. Maybe because Ben was pissing him off with the "Where's the rats?"
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're underground.
All right. So, the problem is there's no plexiglass shelf with a key hanging on it. There's no way of starting that clock. So when Russ says that it's possible, but you're not going to win it, it's not possible. It's not, because the rules stipulate you have to get the key. Think of it like an escape room. You have to get the key to start the clock. Those keys don't exist. So let's say you do rat race, and of course you don't get to that key and you quit because you can't handle getting sprayed in the face with a hose for so long. Well, you quit that test. You used a fail card. But don't worry. There's a couple other areas where you can get that key as well. The next area in my time there was Spectrum and Oblivion. Now, what are you laughing at?
Do you remember that? You don't know how big far it is.
Oh.
When they were questioning, I think that may have been a Cecil quote. Sorry.
So then, next place is Spectrum and Oblivion, and the goal is they're two combined ones, and this seems like where him and Ben's story kind of, like, he took some of the one and added it with the other with Ben. So you're crawling through the trenches, and you have to find, it's like a sewer drain, a giant sewer drainage thing. And you find it, you're blindfolded, you crawl up it, and you can take the blindfold off, and you are in a little shack. Now, that is there. That does exist. But what you're told is you have to find a brick that has 3 keys under it. One will unlock this hatch. Now, that key is not a key that starts the clock. That's just a key to unlock that hatch. You find that key, you open up the hatch, and it's a 10-foot well. And he puts you on a very shaky harness and lowers you down that 10-foot well, and he lifts the harness back up. So now you're down there. Anything happens to Russ while you're down there, you're SOL. I mean, it's 10-foot well, you can't really just easily get up it. In that well is numbers painted all over it. Just random numbers, 1 through 10, all over the place. And at the bottom is another hatch with a combination lock. Now, this is how you start the clock. You solve by using the numbers on the walls to unlock that combination lock, and that opens the hatch. And once you put your feet in, you're in Spectrum, which is the underwater haunted house, and the clock starts. You have to put your feet in to this to start the clock.
You have to go down into the hole that apparently opens up.
Well, he'll tell you, as long as you open that hatch and put your feet in, the clock started. But yes, then you do have.
I've heard a version that's when you go down into like the swimming.
That's where it is.
Okay,
but I mean, that is the next logical step that you do have to make. However, the clock has started at that point. So right away, water turns on, of course, because it's McKamey Manor, and within seconds, that hatch on the ground you can no longer see. It's murky water. The lid's closed. It's dark. You may have a flashlight. You're not seeing it, but don't worry, because even if you could see it, the numbers on there are just random numbers. They don't match anything for that combination. But let's say one time somebody just randomly guessed those numbers and opened that lock. Do you know what's behind that door?
Nothing.
It's the
cement. Bottom of the well.
It's
just
the
cement.
Bottom of the well. Which means, once again, you could win the money, but you're not going to, is a lie. Because start that clock, you would have to put your feet into that hole that doesn't exist. It's literally a cement floor.
And he uses that in that video we saw of him talking earlier about this. He thinks he's sly. He thinks he's doing something by saying it's impossible to win. Because to him, he's like, well, that's me telling the truth. It's impossible to win, you know? But he is flat out telling people that the reason it's impossible to win is because no one's tough enough or brave enough or smart enough to complete the manor. Where the reality is, it is impossible because he has made it impossible. It has nothing to do with anybody's ability.
Mm-hmm. And then he tries to use the excuse they just had to last. They just had to go without saying that they quit. No.
Right.
You said the goal was to first start that clock and then last that time. And then not quit. So if you can't start that clock, that's where your lie and your issue, and it becomes scam and fraud. Now there's one more way back then on how to start the clock, and that was through Alice.
Oh, sorry.
No.
Alice was combined. I know I keep saying it.
Yeah.
But with Reckless Ben, after the rat race, right, drops down, and then he said, and then you have to fight. And I think he said the Cheshire Cat. It was something like that. So I think he was combining like 3 different ones.
So Alice, to start the clock, was just getting to Neverland, or not Neverland, Wonderland.
Yeah.
I bet he would like Neverland. But
oh god.
But anyways, well, he likes Disney.
Yeah.
So Alice, you had to go down the rabbit hole. And at the bottom of the rabbit hole, there was supposed to be a table that, if you dispersed your weight correctly, it would open a door and you would slide into Wonderland. Okay, so
through a gigantic Cheshire Cat.
Well, no, Cheshire Cat's after. But
Okay,
I'll tell that even though that's not part of the clock because I know you want to hear about it. So Alice, what it really was a ball pit. It was a vertical standing ball pit that you crawled in and you were upside down. And once you were in it and you were completely submerged, what would happen would be the top of the cage would come on it and it would lock you in place. It was almost like putting you in cement. It's physically impossible for you to move. No matter how strong you are, because of physics, whatever position you are in, you are locked in. And the only thing you can do is wait for him to take that lid off.
Didn't he fill it up with water?
He doesn't.
Sometimes?
Yeah. So he doesn't just take the lid off right away. He turns the hose on, and the hose runs through all the balls that go down while you are upside down with a mask on, and the water collects in that ski mask and makes it so that you can't breathe, you can't move, and that's why Dan Truelove had a massive panic attack.
I don't think many other people did that one.
Not many people did it. Not many did. So again, you could not get to the bottom of it. And
I think he stopped because of that reason. I think he was scared.
Hey, Chris, I just have a question for you. When did he start? Because I don't remember a lot of these names, these Alice in Wonderland and all this and this stuff. Like, did he have like an affinity towards that?
Towards Disney?
No, not towards Disney, but Lewis Carroll.
I think it was towards Disney.
Yeah.
Because if you look into Lewis Carroll, he had an affinity towards some of the same things that Russ has been accused of having. I just find that very interesting.
Yeah, I like the deepness to that. I think Russ was just really obsessed with Disney.
I mean, you hear Indiana Jones, Disney, like he brings it up all the time.
Yeah, I don't think that was ever Disney though, was it?
Yeah.
Alice in Wonderland?
Yeah.
Yes.
Was
That's a Disney movie.
It's one of the Disney princesses.
Yeah, well, she's not a princess.
Yeah, she's not.
Yeah.
But
she's
the
like
one
Wendy.
that they don't really. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's just kind of there. She's the side girl.
Yeah. They made it a Disney movie, so and the Disney characters, but yes, obviously Disney didn't create Alice in Wonderland.
So, let me tell you about the Cheshire Cat. Now, this has nothing to do with the money, but I know you want to hear this story. When you're in Wonderland, at some point, you're going to come across a giant. Sometimes it was animatronic, sometimes it was painted on a wall. But it was a Cheshire cat that you had to get into his tail, and it would lift you up to its mouth, where you would have to dive into the mouth and grab a key, and you slid down, and what it did was put you into Buried Alive, where all of a sudden you slid to the thing, and you were underground, and you had to remember James Bond's number. That was the code.
Mm-hmm.
And you type in 007, and then the thing drops, and you have to
find like a pole to breathe through or something.
You have to find a hose. You have to dig your way through to find a hose and put the hose to your mouth and breathe, or else you're going to pass out. And then find boxes to climb up while you keep digging yourself. These are the stories that he told people. So you can imagine why people came there and they're like, this is all fucking lies. This shit doesn't exist.
Right.
And this guy's offering me 20 grand and he thinks he can scare me with this stuff.
But you can also, when you hear these stories, say like, oh, well, yeah, that makes sense that there would be a prize of 20 grand because that's fucking crazy.
That's true. That's true.
You know?
He has to have somebody that would have that money lying around to give us to have these elaborate places, you know?
Mm-hmm. I'll just repeat that it was called, what was it called?
Alice.
Alice. And what it essentially was, like, take away all what Russ tells you it is, right? But it essentially was a ball, like an upside down, a ball pit, that you lower yourself into head first, and he slowly fills it up with water. And like, because of the way that you're positioned in this ball pit, it's not like a large ball pit. It's like, I think it's like a barrel essentially, right? I think Chris stepped away, but it's like a barrel filled with balls from a ball pit.
It wasn't a barrel. It was a cage. It was a vertical standing cage.
Okay.
It was like as if you had the long ball pit laying down and you stood it up and cut the top off of it, or the side off of it and closed up where it was free before. That's what it was.
Yeah, but you can't move. Yeah.
No.
And Dan Truelove had a massive panic attack, and what we were talking about is I don't think there was many people that actually did that. And I think because
Dan may have been the only one, maybe.
He may have been the only one.
And if he wasn't, maybe one other person did it. Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing like the Manor Horn. Tons of people attempted the Manor Horn, but only me and one other guy jumped. And the only reason why I jumped was because I knew what it was. Like, there was no mind game for me for it. I knew it was a zip line, so I just jumped immediately. I don't think he knew. He was just crazy.
Right. I think he just does the thing.
No, I'm talking about
the other person.
The other guy.
Yeah. As far as Russ goes, I think he was like, yeah, this will be scary. Probably never tested it, never did it himself, that's for sure. And then has someone do it. And then maybe realizes I could have almost killed that person. And I know people are like, well, why would Russ care about? No, he cares.
So,
I think once he realizes, I almost killed somebody.
So we just touched on the reasons why you can't get the money. The goalpost move. Nowadays it's you didn't do this, or this went too long. You didn't remember to say this. But let's say you don't start the clock. When you run out of fail cards, you are presented with a Hallelujah Breaker. Brandon, did you have a Hallelujah Breaker?
No, it seems like he actually might have put more than 2 seconds of thought into the shows after I went through.
Right. I was going to say, I think you were like the guinea pig.
Because both shows that I attended, it's like he was making it up on the spot. There was no theming.
He does.
There was none of that. I mean, obviously he still does that, but at least there was some overarching theme, it seems like, you know.
At one point, he took a notepad and wrote some shit down, and then that was it for the rest of the time, right?
And just repeated it. Yeah, I mean, because he's still, even with all these things, it's like once it comes out of his mouth and he's like, ooh, that sounds cool, he just repeats it, right? But as far as the person's actual tour goes, it's totally just making it up as he goes. Like I said, Ben, we heard a version of like a hybrid of like 3 stunts that don't exist, but put them together to try to freak him out or something and make him quit. But I don't know what know what the intention is, but it's all bullshit. From 2017 when Brandon did it to now, no matter how many elaborate stories are made up.
So the Hallelujah Breaker was a page-long monologue, very smallly written, right? Many paragraphs that you had to memorize day of while you're in boot camp. And when you get to that point, you have to recite it verbatim the first time, or else the 20K is off the table. It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible.
Well, especially when you're exhausted and you're tired and you've been up all night doing, BS. Of course, you're not going to remember all that nonsense.
Right. And so, for anyone to say anything, let's say the money does exist, right? He could have it. I mean, look how many people he's suing. He could have had it. Right, it doesn't matter, though. It's still a scam because there was never any intention of giving it out because you designed it to not be able to win.
Right. It's not able to win because it's too hard. It's not able to win because he designed it because there's literally no way you can do it.
So what's your, Brandon, I'd like to hear from you for a minute. Like, what's your views on this being a scam, fraud, like?
Well, I mean, if you're going to offer a prize and people are attracted to coming down there for the money, which he said plenty of people who have attempted to go just for that money with the intent, to never give it out, right? It doesn't matter how many times he entices you with saying, oh, you'll never get it. You'll never get it. It doesn't matter. It's still on the table. You know what I mean? So to me, that's the definition of fraud, especially if you don't have, an end game or, the goalposts are not spelled out before you actually get there.
Absolutely.
To me, that is the definition of a scam. On top of everything else, like I thought it was a scam before it was even up to, 20 grand. When I was there, it being 1,000, which I wasn't even there for the money, but the fact that it was so lazily and haphazardly kind of put together and it was marketed at that time. It was marketed as the San Diego experience, which is what I thought I was getting, just to run around in his backyard doing a bunch of nonsense. I thought that was a scam, right? So
do we have because I was hoping we could put it up real quick. I'm looking on our website. Do we have the letter from the Attorney General?
The letter itself or the questions?
The letter.
It's on the website.
Where?
Resource library.
That's where I am.
Well, while you're looking for that, I'd like chat.
I'm there now, though.
It's under legal links. Letter from AG.
Got it. Yep. Got it.
So, chat. Put a 1 in chat if, let's say, you knew none of this knowledge about McKamey Manor. You just saw this is a place that you can win $20,000. You don't know any of this background stuff. Put a 1 in chat if you would go, or a 2 in chat if you would not even consider it. That's great, Frank.
Well, I mean, I went, so.
Got a couple 1s, some 2s, yeah. Are you sending that to me, Boston?
I don't know how.
Screenshot it.
I guess, yeah.
Is it just the letter? I mean, I'll just pull it up and share my
pages,
screen.
Though.
I'll just pull it up and share my screen real quick.
Okay. Because I just want to read some specific parts of it to talk about. And we're not quite there yet.
What's
but
the
I think
date
we're
on
at.
that?
What?
What's the date under? I know it's under legal links, but
There's no date. If you just go to resource library, scroll down 2 scrolls, it says YouTube channels, Wikipedia, legal links.
Oh,
legal links.
Yeah, expand that out, and it's the first one.
Okay. Letter from the AG of Tennessee. So here's the thing, though. You can pull that up, but what time period was it when? Because you were there, Chris, when he stopped publicly offering or talking about the prize money, the $20K.
Yeah, so in 2019, we got, well, not I say we, but he got hit with some zoning code issues. And when that happened, they were looking at him and it made him nervous. So it was similar to when the investigation started, everything kind of halted. And the talk of the prize money, like if anybody said, hey, can I come and do it? Like if he was just doing a live and like some money's still on the table, he'd be like, no, money's not on the table.
Right.
So this is what I see here.
Scroll up.
Oh, here.
Right there. Yeah. So this is important. This is why we're at this point in the story where around sometime in 2019 to present day, 2024, Russ has been extremely elusive, and whenever he regarding the 20K, because I think of kind of figuring out the eyes were on him when those zoning issues came up in 2019. So I think most people were under the impression broadly, most people like us, I should say, not like all the people that talk about this every year and say the 20,000 exists, but most people that like really looked into it were like, yeah, I mean, he doesn't offer the 20K anymore because he can't. Like, I think he'll get in trouble if he offers the 20K, right? So if we read this document, yeah, I'll read this first part. Dear Mr. McKamey, this office is responsible for protecting the public interest, including enforcing consumer protection laws in Tennessee. I am writing to express serious concerns about McKamey Manor, the extreme haunted attraction you operate in Summertown, Tennessee. I'm not going to go into it too much, but there are bullet points. They say we are concerned by recent reports regarding McKamey Manor and its practices, specifically various sources that allege, sources and reports allege that, and then we have that first bullet point, which touches on the known for no safe wording. We have the second bullet point here that, second bullet point here, that talks about this waiver, and I think is touching on the fact that that may not be quite legal. And then the third point, the supposed 20,000 prize offered to anyone who completes the McKamey Manor challenge does not exist and or is impossible to win. They are looking at everything because we've looked at the request for information. We know there are a ton of questions on there asking for real specific things. But in the initial letter sent by the Attorney General to Russ McKamey regarding McKamey Manor and the concerns that they had, 3 things that they list that they're specifically concerned about. The 20,000 prize that is offered to anyone who completes but does not exist and or is impossible to win is listed. That is a huge point. Okay? And Russ will tell them, I don't do that anymore. 20,000, I haven't done that since 2019. However,
can I close this?
Mm-hmm. I just wanted to show that was like one of the main things.
Yeah, so
they're looking at.
It wasn't until I knew of one back in December of 22, Boston.
Yeah, I believe.
So I think, yeah, because it was right before we filmed the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I was really distant from McKamey Manor. I wasn't really involved with the groups or anything. I tried to stay away from it. And something got me to go in the closed group and watch. And there was a Christmas show, and there was a guy about to go through, and I watched this video, and he talked about how he would be missing Christmas with one of his kids' first Christmas, but they really needed the money, and they were going on and on. And that really struck me because I knew you can't win it. And so that was one of the first people that I was able to get a hold of and talk to.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, he had seen the channel before. He knew of the channel. And he was like, "Oh, I've watched you before. I know who you are." And we got to talking, and he kept telling me, "No, dude, I'm different from the others. There's nothing. I need this money so bad. Nothing is going to stop me." And I hear it since then. And we've talked to people. We hear this, nothing would stop me from winning this money. I need it more than anything. And it's like, no, I bet you nothing would stop you. The thing is you can't win it.
Right.
You are going to miss out on a moment in your life that you'll never get back, precious time with your family, because you are being manipulated by a monster who just wants to use you for his form of entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what sucks is that it's hard to convince people that it doesn't exist at that point, too, right? Like, you can tell them all day long that this is not real. No, it's real. It's real. I've heard him say it 1,000 times. Everybody is on the agreement, but yet, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, he listened.
That's why this series exists.
Yeah.
To hopefully people will watch it.
And he listened, and he didn't go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
And then there was another one with us here. We all did a phone call.
We did, yeah.
And
with
I don't
Ben
remember.
and Danny too. I think they joined that.
And Jackson.
Yeah.
It was while the series was going on, and we were able to, and that was a tough one.
Yeah.
He did not want to believe what we had to say.
Mm-hmm.
But again, he wasn't in it for the money, though. He was in it. It seemed like his reasons for going echoed yours and mine, Chris.
Right.
And so, but I'm glad we were able to get through to him. That's for sure.
Yeah. So let me ask our viewers. I think most of them will probably say no. But so that was December of 2022, right? Where it was specifically regarding the prize money. Yes, we did a very recent phone call where we got someone to not go, but they weren't in it for the prize money. But we have, Chris had this conversation with this person who thought they were going to win the prize money in December of 2022. Would it surprise you that Russ continued to offer the prize money into spring of 2023? For all we know.
That can't be possible, though, because Russ has done lives where he said that he hasn't offered it in so long, Boston.
Not since 2019.
Wow.
But we have your personal experience. I don't know if you have proof of like Russ saying, yes, you can get 20,000 to that kid. Yeah. But we've got proof now.
Do we?
We sure do.
Oh my.
So I don't know, but we've got proof of Russ offering the 20K and very intentionally saying, yeah, you know what, let's bump it back. I think he says let's bump it back up.
Well,
something like that.
Only we had like a picture
Right, like a screenshot with dates.
Oh, here, December 21st, 2022. Go ahead and change it back to 20,000 because that's what's advertised everywhere, and it doesn't matter because nobody's ever going to beat the manor. So you can say $20,000. We need to have it there. Though.
We need to have in there though about the video that they need to send. I didn't see that. Maybe I missed it, but they needed to send a fantastic videos selling themselves. Gotta have that for sure. He's got to have his videos
So
for people begging
creepy.
to come. It's so creepy.
He's telling people to make sure that the word of the 20,000's out there, right?
Right. Specifically his mods at the time, you know, he was saying, okay, like let's tell the new people coming, let's bump it up to 20,000 because it's advertised everywhere anyways. Everyone talks about it.
I mean, so I got an audio that I want to play where a mod gives a very realistic concern.
Mm-hmm.
So let's play this audio and listen. Now, it's not a mod that we work with, so I did want to mask the voice, so there's a filter on it.
Okay.
So I just want that to be, known that this person doesn't sound like this.
Right.
So I looked over the two videos, and my only concern with the female was she had said that, obviously we all know she said that she was in it for the 20K because she desperately needed it. So I'm questioning if she's going to have the funds to come down, whether it be flying, getting a rental car, getting a hotel, or even driving and getting all the supplies that's needed and everything else. So I would probably, with talking to her, just let her know what all goes into it first, because like I said, if you're telling us you want to do it for the money, which in my opinion is all for the wrong reasons, and you desperately need it, and I'm kind of not questioning if you're going to be okay, following through financially.
Wow. That was January 4th.
2023. Let's repeat that date just in case anyone from, I don't know, any kind of state office in Tennessee is listening. January what was it? January 4th?
4th, 2023.
2023. Okay. And that mod had a real specific concern of like, this contestant, this person that we're screening, is desperately doing this because they desperately need the $20,000. They need to win. So I'm a little concerned because they desperately need the $20,000 that they're not going to have the funds to get here. I'm worried that they might back out. Maybe they won't be able to pay for hotel or gas, etc. Valid concern.
Yeah. Very worried and bringing it up to the person who's running the show.
Right. And I do have to say, on defense of the mods, at that time, people need to realize too, because I've seen other messages, it is unclear if everybody who moderates or helps Russ or works for him knows if the 20K exists or not. You know what I mean? Well, there are some people that maybe at that time thought like, oh no, these are like doable things.
Well, why not? They're working with them. They trust him. If a person does make it that long, he's going to pay them. Right. I mean, they're just as bamboozled as everybody else. What's up, Savannah?
Hey, we need to chat soon. What's in here? Okay. Yeah, so I just had to say that because I don't want people listening to like that mod specifically was talking about their concern. Like, what if she can't get here because she doesn't have the money, this contestant, because they really want this 20K. It doesn't mean that mod knew the 20K didn't exist, or that it was impossible to win. So I just want people to keep that in mind. He gaslights and manipulates everybody.
So, I want to show. So then, the mod left that voice message, but then Russ used, how he talks here. It's kind of messed up, but this was the response. You want to read it? You want me to read it?
Yeah, I can read it. So this is from that black woman who's ex-military, which I like. The one that wants to do it for 20 grand. She sent me this. She's having problems with trying to upload to Gmail. This Gmail thing, I don't know. It just seems to be a problem. But we have to do something. He's always complaining about anything technological. But there he says the most important part of that message is he's acknowledging, he himself, Russ, is saying, oh yeah, so this is from that black woman who's ex-military, which I like. She's the one who wants to do this for the 20 grand.
Yep. January. Oh, look at the timestamp on there.
January 4th. 2023.
From Russ.
Let's talk at the exact same time. 8:31 a.m. I'm just kidding. Yeah, so again, if anyone, I don't know, who works for the state of Tennessee or like is friends with anyone who maybe is like, if anyone sees this, that might be interesting because that's definitely not 2019.
So, then we have another one. This one was February, the audio clip.
Yeah.
The 16-minute audio.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
that was February.
This next audio clip that we're going to play is only a portion of a 16-minute audio clip. Now, I did cut it. You probably won't be able to tell where the cuts are, but I just took the important parts out of it. And took out the names of people that were dropped throughout.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this audio clip is what, at the time, again, February of 2023, Russ wanted to send essentially to like every contestant.
Yes.
Right?
This was, from what I understood, this was like a demo of this is what it needs to sound like, guys, if anybody talks about the 20K.
Yes.
Which is why he sent this type of, because it's a little bit of a different message than usual.
Yeah.
But only the important stuff's in here.
Hey, do you know who I am? Take a guess. You get two guesses, but only one actually counts. Yeah, this is Russ from the Manor. I guess you and I talked back in 2018. Wow, a long time. Let everybody know that Tennessee is not, say it with me, is not San Diego. It's not those kind of shows. So if you're having anybody watch the old crazy McKamey Manor stuff and they're freaking out like, oh my God, you can't do all that. You're not doing all that. That's not what it is. Okay. Tennessee is a psychological experience. Excuse me. I have a Snickers going down the wrong pipe. All right. So if you cannot get here except like on Saturday, that's fine as well. But it's better if you can be here Friday and Saturday. It's really good if you can get someone to come with you. This is a very positive, fun, but very psychologically challenging show. Okay, that's why nobody has beat me at my game. And you're not going to beat me either. So just be realistic and understand that Russ is going to win every single time. But if for some crazy reason you actually lasted 10 hours inside the real tour, which means not failing inside the real tour, but able to do everything that is required of you, yes, you would win $20,000.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen.
Words right from his mouth.
And he sent this, again, it was like a 16-minute clip, but he sent it to Ahmad to like kind of check and say like, this is what I want sent. Like he literally wanted that audio clip, right? Of like, hey, this is Russ, sent to anyone signing up for a tour.
Mm-hmm.
So that they could hear like the welcome and his like little blurb about it. Rules and that sort of thing. February. of 2023. That is not 2019, last time I checked.
No, that's actually 4 years later.
That's crazy. 4 years
and
later.
I like that also. I included the part about that he talked to her back in 2018, and that was a long time ago, just showing even more that this matches with the timestamps. Re-verifying it. I'm happy people caught on to the Snickers comment. I thought that was funny, and I just
I was losing it. I saw you cracking up too.
But another thing that I want to point out too is the fact of saying it's not San Diego. It's more reason to get the people there. So not only is it not as hard, but you could win 20 grand. It's not as, it's not as physical, and it's just all, it's psychological. It's, you're able to beat it.
Anyone can do it. I mean, you can't do it. He's so back and forth, but yeah, like he knew, and I think his rhetoric changes as far like that timing, February 2023. Something about that timing, I think he was clearly, obviously getting a little desperate, right? Saying, yeah, let's bump it back up to 20,000. That's what's advertised everywhere anyways. Saying that in December of 2022, and then January, and then February. That's all he's talking about, Right. It sounds like there was a little bit of like, shit, we need some people. No one's coming.
And Brandon had shared in private chat. I don't want to put that person's name up yet because they.
Well, no, I was wrong. If they're talking about that person, I thought the link that I shared was to the person that they're referring to, but I'm guessing it's not. So.
But that person too has confirmed that they were offered money.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's another one that goes to April of 2023.
Yep.
So we got all the way up until April of confirmation, and I believe Ben was June or July.
It was in the summer.
It's on the website.
When Reckless Ben goes.
But Ben technically he offered it?
May 27th.
Wasn't it like alluded to?
May 27, 2023 was Ben.
Okay.
June 3rd was Danny.
Yeah, my point, what I'm saying, Boston, is all the way up until the last few actual people went through.
Right.
The money was offered.
Right.
Ben,
in the 2023 year. Yes, exactly. Okay.
And then nobody since has gone through.
Right.
So, any chance of lying to the authorities who are investigating it, we have proof right here, and we've submitted that proof to the right people to know that this money has been offered to people. And these are the people that it's been offered to. And I believe it's more than what we have.
Well, just think of how many people he offered it to that just canceled a show, right? That messaged him privately.
Yeah. I mean, very true. How many messages he probably gets a day just from even just trolls, going to mess with them. Hey, can I get 20 grand? Yeah, if you're serious, I'll give you 20 grand.
Right.
That should all count.
Absolutely.
So
it's enticing people to buy a plane ticket. It's enticing people to buy hotels. It's enticing people to buy all that other BS that you have to buy in order to go to a show. I mean, it's all, if the money was never actually there to begin with, how many people would have actually shown up?
And it's what the Attorney General said in that letter. That was one of 3 bullet pointed concerns that they said specifically they are concerned about for consumer protection laws. One of them being a supposed an offer of $20,000 prize money, which is impossible to win or doesn't exist.
Well, let me ask you this. Can I play devil's advocate for something?
Sure.
What do you tell people who say, well, of course, how could you believe that he has $20,000 when he lives in a trailer in BFE, Tennessee, and drives a 20-year-old truck.
Well,
he's a weirdo.
This was the thing. No, this was the thing that when I was modding for him, and people would be like, "He doesn't have 20,000 to give." A response that I would have would be, "Doesn't matter if he does or doesn't have it. What matters is it possible?" That's all that matters. Because if he doesn't have it and you do successfully do it, then you got yourself a lawsuit.
Right.
If he doesn't have it,
if he does have it and you successfully do it, you can't.
Yeah,
That's the point that is more important of whether he has it or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd hear that all the time, Brandon. I'd hear people say there's no way he works at Walmart. No way he would give 20,000. And I think it's easy to believe someone who lives in a trailer and works at Walmart or whatever. And drives a crap van could have 20,000. I don't think they'd have 20,000 they want to give away.
He didn't work out. What I'm saying is he didn't work at Walmart back in 2017, 2018. And what I'm saying is that, he left enough doubt out there, right? So that people wouldn't necessarily doubt it, right? Like there was already rumors going around about, the profit that he got from selling his house and the fact that he used to, he would talk openly about how he purchased his trailer with cash and stuff like that, right? So the reasonable doubt of whether or not he had it was out there. It's not solely based on the fact that, him just living in a trailer, right? He still had military pension, disability, all that stuff he openly talked about. So there was still a possibility that he had it back there.
Right, but it doesn't matter either way. Like even back then, people speculating if he had it or didn't have it and the possibility that he did have it, it never, where we're at today, the answer to all of those questions is it doesn't matter if he had it or not. I personally think it's believable he could have it, but I don't necessarily think he'd have it and want to give that much money away to someone.
He would try to show that he had it with the fake money that him and Brandon that he purchased when Brandon was with him.
Yep. Yeah. So whether he whether he actually has $20,000 or not, set aside for some sort of, if he could, his response to the Attorney General could be like, yeah, they could win it if they just lasted. But, he's publicly saying since the investigation started that the prize money hasn't been offered since 2019. Right? So now we've got proof that it has been offered up until last year, before tour stopped completely. And
I'm just concerned. My only concern is it reasonable to assume, right? Like if the homeless guy sitting on the street is saying, "Hey, I'll give you $1 million if you can guess what card I'm holding," is it reasonable to assume that particular homeless person actually has $1 million? Right? That's kind of where my mind was going. Like,
but that's not legal. That's
I'm not
free card money,
I know. I'm not saying it is. What I'm kind of getting at is if they're if they're trying to argue as a defense, well, it's not reasonable that this guy would ever have that much money, so of course it's not real, right? If that could be a defense. I don't believe it. Like I said, I'm on y'all's side, but I'm just trying to think of, how he can try to wiggle his way out of there. We've already seen him say, well, nobody's ever going to win it. Nobody's ever going to get it. Right. But if you're sitting down, having to give a reasonable legal defense. Well, is it reasonable to believe that this guy ever actually had it? Is that something that he could go with?
Yeah, I don't think he could. I don't think he could when we got these other messages and that out there of him telling people you can win it, him showing fake money throughout the years as claiming it to be real.
No, I believe it.
So
proof that there's no way to win it.
And that's the thing. His video, Then There Were None. Yeah. It's funny because it's his mouth that's getting him in trouble, right?
Right.
The Then There Were None. He's putting rules and stipulations by saying you have to complete this to start the clock if you want to try to get the 20K. Now, if he just said, and now he's going and telling the AG and that, oh, you just got to last. No, well, on your video that you make everybody watch before they go on a tour, you say this. So the instructions are this.
And there's enough witnesses to corroborate all of this,
Well, he also said in his affidavit that he doesn't run McKamey Manor as a business in the state of Tennessee, right? Like he's already perpetuating this, these lies as it is in a sworn testimony, right? So, it wouldn't surprise me if he tried to pull well, no, there's no way I ever had that money. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't think he had an affidavit. Didn't it pause because he tried to sue the Attorney General?
No, that was in the it's on the website. As part of his response, as part of his memorandum to support his complaint, is the Russ McKamey sworn affidavit.
Okay. Well, regardless,
I'll send it to you.
I don't think any of us talking publicly about how could he how could he get out of this is a great idea, because I don't think he's got any clue. The lawsuit against the Attorney General has already been dismissed. Now he has to comply. We'll see what happens. But we've got the proof there that the prize money was offered and had continued to be offered up until last year. So that's really, as far as that part of the investigation goes, if they're interested in knowing that, we've got that. And, we've got his voice and his text messages. So it's all there.
Right. Well, I think that's about all we got. We're not going to go into the whole Hulu thing. I mean, we don't need to. We're going to stay on topic with this. But
Hulu?
Tara had asked why do we think it was dropped? I mean, simple. He knew he wasn't going to win.
Yeah.
He had no case. So. Do you guys got anything else that you want to add to this point here? I think we covered everything. Did I forget anything?
No,
anybody in chat have any questions about this?
And I just want to thank everyone who contributed to all of this. You definitely, it takes research, and cooperation and working with other people that have been around and or worked, with him or talked with him over these past however many years to find this kind of proof straight from the horse's mouth, that he's been lying about something that could potentially have some legal ramifications. So we'll see what happens there. So is there just one case left? Yeah. So this isn't a lawsuits update. It is part of our Rise and Fall series. We wanted to make sure to include this separately so that we had a place where people could learn about, essentially, in one video, the 20,000 prize money. No, it does not exist, meaning even if he physically had $20,000 and physically could give it to somebody, there is no way to win the game. It is set up that way. He has set that up in that way so that there is no way anyone can win. If you're just now joining us, go back and start from the beginning. Our next episode is likely going to pick back up in San Francisco, because we are going in chronological order, but we are very close to covering some of the quote-unquote tours that happened after the move. We're going to cover the move itself, how things started in Tennessee, and we're going to pretty quickly, I think, get to current times in the Rise and Fall series. But if everyone's been following along, and you're in our Facebook group, we've got two groups. One is Haunted and Horror Road Trip, And that is for anything spooky and horror related. That's where we talk about immersives, extreme haunts, haunted houses, the boo kind, and the ghost kind, like the really haunted houses. And then we have another group. What is it? Oh, McKamey Manor Road Trip. McKamey Manor Road Trip. That's our other Facebook group. And if you've been following along there, I think it's pretty much fallen.
Yeah.
You know, the rise and fall. I think we're like,
we're in the fall.
Current time, we are in the fall.
Yeah. So I got a couple of quick questions here. First one, what would you all do if you would have won 20K?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, both of you. What would you guys do?
I don't know. Go to HEB. Go to the grocery store.
Yeah, maybe get a new car.
Get a new car. I go on a cruise.
Save.
I go on a couple cruises.
Yeah, no, that would be nice too.
Let's see what else.
Yeah, I'm with that guy. Pay my fucking bills. Pay off my debt.
Is there a video we can see of the Alice thing that you're talking about? No, there really isn't. There's only aftermath videos. I saw a picture one time floating around the internet on Facebook, and I have not been able to find it again, and I have been looking for it.
Yeah, so keep in mind, guys, now that we are talking, we're very close to, in this video, we talked a lot about Tennessee. But now that we're like essentially in that time period, right? He stopped making movies and putting them up on his YouTube channel like he did in San Diego. And it turned into Facebook Lives in his closed group. You had to be part of the closed group to watch them. Facebook Lives of people going through, and very purposefully, because of how shit it is, and how badly put together the manor is. It's just a few props and stunts on his property. You don't see 99% of it. Even when he's showing, right? He shows the boot camp and stuff, but when a stunt starts, lots of times he puts
a wall.
Yeah, sometimes I think he just puts it in his pocket.
He does.
Yeah.
So he actually had I believe it was a phone case that would cover the camera.
Yeah. So just keep that in mind. We had a lot of visuals in the Rise and Fall series thus far because he had all of these movies that he'd put together of the different people going through. That was very much San Diego. Tennessee is going to look a lot different. We're going to do our best to get any kind of media, photos, videos, anything we can get. But I think there probably will be a lot more interviews talking with people about their experiences, and less footage, unfortunately, just because that's how he did things in Tennessee.
Well, all right, guys. It was a fun live. Thank you, everybody, for being here in chat and chatting with us. Dee, thank you for that super sticker. Savannah's here. She has a new video out. Go check it out. Watched it the other night. It was really good.
Savannah Marie. I think that's just the name of the channel, right?
Yeah.
Savannah Marie.
Yep.
If anyone has her link, mods for Savannah Marie's channel, can you drop it in chat, please?
Nope.
And hopefully we'll be talking with her soon. We're talking with a lot of people. There's going to be some collaborations coming your way. But we are working and teamwork and talking with some other creators out there, and we will be sharing their videos as well, because the most important thing for us this spooky season, like the girl said at the very beginning of this video in the compilation of people on TikTok and YouTube talking about this 20K, one of the girls said, it's that time of year again, every season is when the stuff starts coming up. So we want to work with and collaborate with other creators, share their videos, get the word out there, the truth and the facts. We don't want to glorify or continue to spread these rumors and this legend that Russ is so proud of and doesn't deserve.
Yep. So thank you all for being here with us tonight. And have a great one. Bye.